let's look at second base. I have a pipe dream. I don't think it'll ever happen, but I'm happy to put it out there because I haven't really heard it ever come on the airwaves from any of our Chicago White Sox podcast acquaintances. But man, after last season, we were talking about, guys with, high wars and, just looking down those lists and things that, we wouldn't really suspect. And Tommy Edman was a name that just came up, and we were both kind of jaw dropping because I think he fell in like the top 5 of WAR last year. And there's really no good reason for St. Louis to part with him. He's controllable through 2026 through arbitration. He's a fixture in that lineup. They're contending for playoffs. So I was just really trying to think like, okay, if this was my wish, because we need a second baseman, we need a right fielder, and that guy plays both positions and he's young and he's great. So I was kind of thinking, would they even consider, would they slam the phone down if we offered Lucas Giolito, Lennon Sosa, or Colson Montgomery, maybe dangled Oscar Colas. I don't know if it would take more than that. It possibly could. But I think with that, if we were to swing that deal, get a cheaper guy back, get rid of Giolito's money for one season, I think St. Louis has a pretty thin rotation. They're always looking for, new guys to bring in because of guys like Jack Flaherty going down on injury. Wainwright's going to retire. The back end of that staff isn't exactly established. So it's like you bring over Giolito, maybe he pitches to his normal standards, maybe around a 3.50 ERA to a 4, and you can extend him in that. I mean, I think maybe if they were to set up some sort of extension, with that kind of deal, maybe that would at least come of mild interest to them. I think if we were to get rid of Giolito, we could go, re-sign Johnny Cueto, put him back in our rotation with the money that we got, to save in an Edman deal. But, I'm looking at this. It's going to take one of our starters, who I think is one of our core starters. I think it would take, 1 or 2 of our infield prospects, perhaps an Oscar Colas, maybe it's a Jorge Vera if they wanted more. Again, it's probably not something the Cardinals would be, on the hunt for or the prowl for. But if, we knocked on their door and, blew them away, could you possibly envision a scenario like that and what it might mean for the White Sox?
Yeah. And, maybe we could get somebody else in there a little bit too. Just hey, can you add in a Lars, Newt Bar or something like that, right? Just a little bit more, to sweeten the pot. Then for Giolito, I think that makes sense. If we were to go that right, like you were saying, if we were to bring back Johnny Cueto, who again, if we're going to go off last year's numbers, he was one of our best pitchers, top 3, right? So if that's the case, then if we can get that similar production from Johnny Cueto, add in Tommy Edman, predominantly playing second base. And then add in another, maybe a kind of a spot starting type of outfielder from the Cardinals, like a Lars or whatever. Then I think that can definitely be, something that's, I guess, palatable on there. So, but yeah, I think Rick Hahn's definitely going to have to do some shifting, using, kind of factoring the, how much people are making. And Giolito definitely has that. He's got a big contract, but he definitely has, some good upside, I think, still. Just had a bad season last season. If some, team says, hey, we can speed up that fastball a little bit, then, and, help out with his location, then I think, that's something that, a team can definitely gamble upon. Because when he's good, he's great. So, yeah.
I agree. Did you have any wishes here at second base or things you've been looking at in the market?
I did. I think one name that's popped up, a bunch that I would love, I think, to kind of take a chance on is Brandon Lowe, right? You kind of look at what the Rays always do. They always seems like, yeah, we'll trade whatever players if you give us some decent prospects. And Brandon Lowe kind of had a down year last year, was hurt and everything. So, maybe the Rays are like, okay, that's enough for us. Let's see what we can get from him. If some teams are kind of desperate for second baseman, which in a way we are, and then he's also left-handed at bat. He hit 39 homers last season. Still has a pretty decent contract overall. So I think, if we were to give up a probably some decent prospect, or maybe they want to, I feel like the Rays are always wanting some bullpen help. So if we were to trade him like Ronaldo Lopez or something like that, and or yeah, some other players, then I think that could help sweeten the pot. But I definitely see like Brandon Lowe can definitely be a great fit. Somebody that we can just plug right into our roster. Now with Benintendi probably bat in the lower half, but really decent damage, I think, overall. So yeah.
Yeah, I actually had him on my list too as a trade candidate, because I see what you're saying. It's like number one, the 39 home runs you're talking about was in 21, because last year he had just like an off year. His back was flaring up, and that's the one thing I think everybody's worried about is like, will this guy just come with some injuries? But I see his upside. He's got even some on base potential too with all the power. Plays positions that we need him to play. I was thinking, just kind of given that he's controllable until 25, could we throw him, Norge Vera or Lenin Sosa, maybe throw in, Jake Berger, Gavin Sheets, like one or the other, just to see, what it would take. I don't know what the combination of those guys would be. I know Tampa loves to have guys that are just super controllable. They love, high octane pitchers. At least for right now, they could shift over Isaac Paredes at second base, and they've got Yandy Diaz at first. So it's like they don't really need Brandon Lowe, but he's definitely a good player. So I think, that was a good recommendation. I think our team would do well, acquiring him.
Yeah, and they did pretty decent without him, I think, last year. I know, maybe it would. I think they just saw, I was like, yeah, he's great. Like, he was great. Probably got our MVP in that 39 homer season and everything like that. But then, like, I think after last season, they're like, we won a pretty decent amount of games without you. Like, so I definitely, they're very much a sabermetrics type of team. It's like, it wasn't too much of a drop off when you were hurt and everything. So I think we can do without you, and then deal you for maximum value and reload, because nobody goes to their games and they don't have the cap or the salary, the team salaries for that. So I think that could be definitely a good pick there. But yeah, did you have anybody else?
Yeah, we've had all this. There's been a lot of conversations with the Mets, and I actually look at New York and both teams as both good trade partners for us. But the first one, it's kind of like, choose your poison. I think with the kind of deal I'd look at. I mean, I think for us, looking at the Mets and now, just acquiring Carlos Correa, they've obviously got Eduardo Escobar, who can play third base still. He can also play second. They've got Jeff McNeil, who's an all-star, and Luis Guillorme, who's just, a pretty serviceable infielder, all around the diamond for them. So it's like they've got a lot of guys to play very, few positions, and they've been looking for bullpen help. So, when they were dropping the Hendriks, name in speculations, I mean, I think the best thing I heard was, we got to ask for Jeff McNeil in that situation. Not that we're going to get him, because he's almost a 6'4" player and coming off a batting title, like perfect, left-handed, setup guy in their on their team. But I think it's fair to say, if we're going to trade you one of the best closers in the game, like, we're going to be asking for one of the best second basemen in the game. So, could we add more depth to that offer to sweeten that for them? Possibly. Are the Mets the type of team that are going to take on a lot of prospect value? Like, probably not. So I see that as kind of like the one for one that could possibly be interesting. But if we don't go that route, could we do Joe Kelly for Eduardo Escobar or Matt Foster for Luis Guillorme? Like, possibly. I think bullpen is an area of strength for us, and it's, an infielder of theirs. It could be, a strength of theirs, that we're looking for. So I think that's where the good matches could come into play. I'd be comfortable with any of those deals. And the only other Hendriks deal I would put out there is, what if we go after Gleyber Torres on New York? They're bringing up Anthony Volpe. They've got Oswaldo Cabrera, who's pretty much ready for the pros. Could slot in at second base for him. You could move over DJ LeMahieu again. But Gleyber was a 4-WAR player last year, 24 home runs, 75 RBIs. He's on an arbitration deal right now of $9 million. And I think he'll be free after 25. But, New York could eat the money that, Hendriks goes over on Torres, and that might give us a little bit more, capital to spend maybe on some free agents, just to fill up, maybe the catcher position or something else. But would you do a Hendriks deal for Gleyber Torres, or any of the Mets deals interesting to you at all?
Yes, in a heartbeat. I would definitely do it. I would even do it for even like Oswald Peraza, I think, even too, if we were to go that route. So, because that would certainly free up some cash for us, to load up on other parts from a roster. I mean, I feel like that's the biggest thing about, trading away Liam Hendriks. But then, yeah, if we were to get like a really good prospect, I mean, yeah, like you were saying, the Yankees have a roster kind of already equipped, and they're, it always seems like they're kind of in that win now mode. And especially if, it's a position where they have multiple people kind of, it's like, yeah, might as well kind of get rid of them, get rid of one so we can get max value on another kind of hole we need. And I always feel like, yeah, with the Yankees, they always kind of want that bullpen help. And, they always want the best. It seems like they always need the best closer or something. So I feel like, with him, yeah, they always had the history. I think Aroldis Chapman too, it's just kind of this intimidating force. So, with Hendriks, I feel like that fits kind of right in their alley, with their kind of win now type of mentality. Same thing with the Mets. Yeah, I would definitely love the McNeil trade and all that, but yeah, maybe not likely. But yeah, I think any of those players, I think would be great. But I would, yeah, personally, I wouldn't mind trading Hendriks though for like a really good middle infield prospect though still, and somebody that is major league ready. And Oswaldo Peraza, like he did play in the majors last year, so he does have some footing in there. So I think he can probably come into this next coming year and contribute immediately in the middle infield there. So I would be happy with him, and like you were saying, like, hey, he's going to be controllable for the next couple of years. So, from the Yankees perspective, it's like, yeah, why not? Yeah. But when the best closer in the game for, yeah, controllable middle infielder with a lot of upside, why not? I would definitely do that.
That's where my heart rate starts to go up a little bit. Like I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying too, because it is kind of smart. It's like it brings us back to when we were restructuring our team and bringing on guys that could be franchise cornerstones. And like, yeah, could Oswald Peraza be that? Like, it's possible. I'm just worried, like, as we're in our window, would that be a lot of responsibility to hand over to somebody? I know he batted 300 last year, so it's not like he was shook in his first 50 at bats or so. But yeah, I mean, to pry off the one of the best closers in the game, I feel like I'd like to know that we're getting back a controllable, near all-star level caliber second baseman, and that's like undisputable. But we'll just have to see if that deal did go down. I don't know if I'd fully hate it, but I think that yeah, I'm only parting with Hendriks right now unless we're getting like major league ready, borderline all-star talent back.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that makes sense. And yeah, I definitely think that we are trying to win now in a way. So, but it's definitely one of those hedges. I think, well, Jerry, like, spend the money, man. How many more years you got on this earth, right? Just go YOLO, like literally go YOLO. So, yeah, I would definitely do it if it were between Levi Torres and Oswaldo Peraza, then I would definitely take Gleyber, because I know what to expect from him and everything. So, but in this case, I definitely still think that Peraza would definitely be a good contributor. And he played at Yankee Stadium, like that's the hardest as it gets basically there. So, yeah, and they liked him over there, so he did well. So I definitely think he could contribute, though. I think second base for sure in this next coming season. So.